Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Performance Link Pit Stop. We normally would be reviewing a round that we've just had, but unfortunately, we are having a couple of down weeks here before we head over to Donington for round number 3, which pretty sure the drivers are really looking forward to. I haven't got my partner in crime here tonight, Dave. Dave's not able to join me, so you got the pleasure of my company and. Unfortunately, my webcam doesn't seem to be playing ball, so hopefully it should still be all right. So we haven't got any round, we haven't got any penalties to look over tonight, but what we have got is a few drivers that we're going to come in and get a little bit more. I mean, I think it's quite a good addition to the segment, the pit stops in, to find out a little bit more about the drivers. Also, we found out about David Gill being able to make steering wheel, so that was sort of good. And we do have a European karate champion in our midst here, so we'll let him say all about that from the school of Mr. Miyagi. So I'm sure we'll see to that. But what we'll do is we will drag Scott Mokes in first to the stream. So Scott, welcome to the stream. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, Andy. Thank you for having me here.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, you are one of the drivers in the new Performance Link GT3 championships here. Bit of a mixed bag in the first 3 rounds that you've had. It seems that you keep getting involved in incidents out on track.
Yeah, just a bit of bad luck. But yeah, I was involved in a bit of an incident in quali. I couldn't really get the lap in at Watkins. So that put me quite far down the order. And then, yeah, coming into the next rounds, I just can't qualify. I don't know what it is. I just can't put a lap in.
It's obviously being in Tom Bingham's team, because he's notoriously bad at qualifying. You know, he seems to do quite well in the races, but qualification, it doesn't matter. Obviously, talking about the qualifying, it was a big talking point between the drivers for going into the next round in Donington and the first Sunday. How are you looking for that? It's a really small track, and I think the way that we're actually planning on doing it now is sending out the pros and the pro-ams. Otherwise, if we had a field of 60 out on track, it'd be pretty much carnage. But how are you looking forward to that track?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I've got real life experience here, so that translated pretty quick through to iRacing. But yeah, I really like the new idea for quali, sending us out in split groups. I think, yeah, it would have been carnage sending 60 cars out. It would have been out the pit lane round, and then people would still be coming out the pit. So that was a good call.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, looking at we are on iRacing platform. Just tell us, the viewers, a little bit about how you got into iRacing. You know, what you started off driving, and currently what that very expensive rig that looks like is consisting of.
Yeah, so it was classic lockdown. Bored at home, wanting to be racing. So I built my first rig myself. So that was made up of not too much. The first car was, obviously, you go through the rookie stage, so you're in the Mazdas, and then after that I went solely to the Porsche Cup. Stuck with that for a bit, and really tried to perfect that as much as I could, because you need really quite a lot of pedal work in that. I feel like there's more brake bias and trail braking needed in the Porsche, and that really translates to most cars in iRacing. If you can master the Porsche, you can pretty much get on with any other car. So I stuck with the Porsche, and then this league come up, and it's my first time in the GT3s, so it's been an interesting run.
So you mentioned in there, obviously, you go with a GT Cup car. Obviously, it doesn't have ABS and all the gadgetries of the GT3. You know, explain a little bit to, obviously, our new drivers, you know, the trail braking principle and what that does, and how the Porsche has helped you get better at trail braking rather than using the GT3 cars, which have all got ABS.
Yeah, I mean, the Porsche Cup, having the engines over behind the rear axle, there's a lot of weight distribution to be had there. So if you're doing most of your braking, and then you need to roll off into a trail brake, you need to hold that pretty much all the way to the exit, to the apex, sorry, to give the front end that more grip to push that weight forward, so then front tires are really pressed into the tarmac. So that's the key to being quick into the corner and getting a good apex to exit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much new to iRacing. I pretty much started in the lockdown, but I've pretty much gone the other way. I can't drive, so I commentate now. So that's where I'm sort of at now. I still dabble my feet every now and then in the iRacing. But just explain what setup you've got there. It looks very expensive, as pretty much they all are these days.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but they are cheaper than real racing.
True.
So yeah, so I'm running all Thrustmaster hardware. So I'm running the TSPC wheelbase, that's belt driven, and then I'm running the coiled spring pedal set, so that gives you a bit more on the brakes. It's pretty much the best that Thrustmaster can offer at the minute. So yeah, I've stuck with that. I've always been with Thrustmaster. I do like it. I just can't. At the start, I couldn't see myself going into too serious in sim racing, but next year I might step it up, so I might get into direct drive. And
Yeah, that's what you just beat my question there. You know, obviously you're belt driven. I've got the CSL Elite on mine. I've never experienced the direct drive. Have you actually driven the direct drive, or have you not had a go at it yet? No,
never had a go at direct drive, so I am very intrigued to see what difference there is.
Well, you seem to be very fast without it, so maybe with it, they say it gains a couple of attempts, but I suppose it's all down to immersion. But you know, the money that you can spend on rigs is absolutely insane. I've seen some people have like 10K rigs, but I suppose it's very easy to do in this game when you get so much into it. I can see you got a queue lighting around you there as well, so it's all about immersion, I think.
Yeah, I mean the triples. I really like the triples. Single screen, I found it. I started with a single screen. I found it so hard to actually have close racing without triples, because you just lose that immersion of where the cars are on your sides. So the triples really made it a bit easier to have wheel-to-wheel racing, but more money.
Definitely. Well, it is, like you say, it's a lot cheaper than actually getting a brand new car or smashing up a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. At least you can try anything once. Obviously, we're only 3 rounds into a 12-round championship. We've got still pretty much over 3/4 of the season left to go. What rounds are you particularly looking at, and as your favourites to be able to make a move up? And where do you see yourself towards the end of the season? Where do you want to see yourself?
I'll start at the end of that question. So, the end of the season, I'm going to try and get a good qualifying lap in. I want a pole. I want a pole. So I'm going to aim for that. That's my target for this season, is just to get one pole. And yeah, just get back into it. I had a really long break from my racing. This is the first time back after a really long break. So I'm going to try and push myself as much as I can and get back up to speed. The track I'm looking forward to, I'm actually looking forward to Nuremberg, and also terrified of it. So it's going to be a bit of a love-hate situation there. But no, I love the track. Haven't raced it too much, but it's a real driver's track.
Everyone seems to love that, and whenever I said what was everyone's favourite track is the Nürburgring, obviously doing the full 24 hours for an hour-long race. I think people wanted to do the 2 hours. I was like, yeah, you know, it's an extremely long track. You certainly won't be overtaking a lot of drivers unless there's a lot of drivers got the excellent. It's a hard one to master, being it's 13 different sectors to go on, so it's extremely hard. But I suppose they do the 24 hours. So have you had much experience doing that?
I haven't. No, I think I've only done 1 or 2 officials there in the Porsche Cup. Other than that, just been a little bit of practice, and that's pretty much it. So I'll go in. I'll dive in the deep end.
Certainly is. I mean, have you driven a GT3 car around there yet?
I've done a little bit of practicing, yes. So I've done a little bit to find out where it gets airborne and where it likes to fly. So.
as always, during the second half of the track, you know, it is a great one to watch. I love watching it on there. But any others that are sort of taking your fancy? We do have the 2-hour endurance races, one coming up. Obviously, the 2-hour Spa, which is the third race in the second sort of segment, if you want to look at. So we've got Donington at the first weekend, then we've got the Nürburgring the second Sunday, and the third Sunday is our 2-hour endurance mini of Spa. And then we've got another one at the end, Le Mans. Are you looking forward to any of them?
all of them pretty much. Donington probably I'm looking forward to the most because I've actually raced there in real life. So yeah, that's the one I'm hoping to be quick at.
So you mentioned racing there in real life. What was that in?
So I did Formula Ford for a few years. So I did that around Donington.
How'd you get on in that?
Not too good. I blew my engine up in qualifying there.
Good, it's a bit too much revs, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, but obviously, looking at this, you are one of our pro drivers in this series. I mean, that pro field seems to be extremely competitive. You got the likes of Thomas Cope, Elliot Hellier seem to be certainly the two at the moment, with Matty Chambers coming up there. But you always seem to be there or thereabouts, and then get involved in some sort of altercation that puts pay to your pace. But I'm sort of expecting to see you up certainly the front end of the field if you can get them qualifying sessions sorted out.
Yeah, I need to work on my qualifying because that's putting me in these situations where I don't need to be. So yeah, I'm gonna really try on my quali, and hopefully that'll put me nearer the front guys, and then maybe I can do something in the race.
Definitely. But Scott, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. We'll probably grab you in a little bit later on because we haven't got the penalties, but I know our owner or something, or you would say Tom Bingham, is racing in the WSL. So what we might do is just get all in and do a bit of a commentary to see how he gets around there. But before we let you go, Scott, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, obviously shout out to you, Andy, and David as well for commentating on the league, and yeah, Tom Bingham and everyone else who's involved to set up this league. I know it's not easy to especially control 60 plus people. It's so much work goes involved behind the scenes. So yeah, thank you for doing that, and yeah, thank you Performance Link and everyone who watches and everyone I'm racing with. It's been great, really. So yeah, I look forward to the rest.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us, Scott, and please stick around, and we'll grab you in and see how our very own Tom is doing in the WSL races. But
no worries.
Till then, see you later, mate. So there was Scott there talking about his experience, and obviously he has done not so well at the start to be able to get on. But big shout out, a big thanks to all our viewers in the YouTube who's having a chat. There's Dave there getting a. He's getting pole, doesn't always like Charles Leclerc. Scott Mokes has one pole position in his real life career. Yeah, there's Motorsport Magpie. Our very own Dave has not been able to join me here tonight on that. And Patrick Thompson, what's taking pole surely equates to winning a race. Haha. Well, Patrick, you're doing exceptionally well in that pro-am field, so good for you. But without further ado, let's bring our next driver in. We've got Lewis standing by. Lewis, welcome to the stream, mate. One of our new drivers, one of our rookie drivers in this series, just joined us on the last round at Silverstone. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to be here. It's the first podcast I've really ever done.
Well, there you go.
Experiences.
Yeah, obviously we were talking earlier on about your being a bit of a karate man. So just explain to the viewers a little bit about your Mr. Miyagi experiences.
Well, I've been doing karate since I was like 6 or 7 years old. So it's been throughout my life, and I've managed to get to the level where I compete for my country. So it's a good level, and I'm currently right now the Scottish champion. And
Don't mess with you then.
hoping to beat the European Championships next year, but I was injured for the selections this year, so I'm not going, which coincidentally brought me into the league.
Well, exactly. Their loss is our gain, and joining the league. And let's talk about a little bit about your iRacing experience. When did you join iRacing? What sort of setup are you using? And obviously, being in the rookie class, you're very much new to the world of iRacing and league racing in particular. Like you said before, this is your second league. And just tell us a little bit about what it feels like to be on the grid with all the other drivers around you.
Well, yeah, I started iRacing in 2020, but I took a break because I just played the F1 game more and it was more affordable. But I done league racing there and I won a few championships. But then I feel like I wanted like a more real feeling of a car. So I moved over to iRacing, went through the rookies, all the classes, and yeah, I just enjoyed it, and I've joined this league because I wanted to be in a more competitive area, as they have always been put out lap one in the officials. Yeah, it's weird being in a league. It's so many cars. It's also very clean, so it feels a lot. What's the word? It's just a lot better racing, and it's a lot tighter.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you mentioned that the official iRacer series, bit of a carnage fest at times, and I think it puts a lot of drivers off. Obviously, a lot of drivers may be looking at this podcast thinking about dipping their toes into league racing. You're very much new to league racing. Just give them an experience of, obviously, you've only done one round at the moment, Silverstone, what that was like, and what you've found the biggest differences between, obviously, coming into a league racing and, obviously, the carnage that is the official series.
Yeah, I would highly recommend joining the league. It's just a better experience in officials. Like, you can definitely have a lot better racing, a lot closer racing, and then I can actually go side by side through cops and not be tagged. But I would definitely recommend joining a league and just getting better racing, because it's good when I've not done this yet, but I want to experience like being faster than someone that was slower than the round before, so I can feel like I am getting faster. So that sense of progression you get in a league.
Yeah, I think also as well, you know, one of the good things about league is you do get that valuable experience. There's going to be a lot of people faster, as we just spoke to Scott there, you know, an extremely fast pro driver. And, you know, you're actually rubbing car doors with him because he could be coming up behind you, and it's more about getting the racecrafts there. But like you say, you actually get past the first lap 9 times out of 10 in league racing, should I say. We're not all saying we're incident free, but I suppose you gain experience as you go through the league, and that's really going to put you in good stead going forward.
Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot about just being in this league. My racecraft on iRacing has improved just from one round. I was learning where to overtake, where I shouldn't overtake. I learned a lot already in one round, which I'm hoping to use in round 2.
Yeah. Obviously, we mentioned you've just gone into the one round, so we have gone into the 3, so you've missed the first 2. We have 2 drops rounds, so you're still in the fight, shall I say, for the rookie championship. You know, looking at the rounds that we've got coming up, is there any that's really taking your fancy that you've looked at, or is there any that you haven't done before that you're quite nervous but looking forward to it?
Nürburgring, the full layer, I've never raced it. I won the track that I've done laps around it, but I've just never went side by side with someone at it.
Yeah. I mean, it is a daunting track, the Nürburgring. You know, you get the people that love it on this side and hate it on this side. It's very much a Marmite track, but everybody loves watching the Nürburgring. So I'd imagine you'd be doing a little bit of practice around that track, or are you just going to follow somebody around?
No, I've been practicing a little. I've tried to set lap times, but obviously the out lap is already as dangerous as the actual quali lap. Just trying to make it round to do it. But yeah, I've been practicing. Before doing practice for Donington, I've done practice for Nürburgring just to be prepared. So I had that little bit of extra practice.
Yeah, definitely. What sort of setup then have you got when you're driving?
Old Frostmaster. I've got I think it's a wood cell pedal, the one with the string. Oh my god, I forgot the word. But yeah, it's the upgraded pedals, and then I've got the SF1000 wheel, and I forget the wheelbase. I forget the wheelbase, but it's a pretty standard one. Not a high one, it's kind of in the middle.
Well, I mean, you are on the beginning of your journey. Obviously, we've got some good prizes in this season, and in yours, it's very much about setups. I mean, I don't know how much you know about setups cars. I mean, it's very much like a dark art when they're trying to do the setups on the cars. So, obviously, the top prize is a year's subscription to the ARA Academy silver package, and then second is a bit of a tuition off one of our pro drivers, Thomas Cope, who's currently leading the pro championship in this season, and the third is a 6 month. So all good things there for you to look at, as well as trophies for your top three? Because one thing I'm not seeing is a lot of karate trophies in your background. So I imagine you've got loads of them somewhere.
Yeah, I've
There
got
he goes.
them up on that shelf up there. They're all up there.
There we go. Well, we have got some trophies. So yeah, you're probably looking after the trophies. Then you want to get your very first motor racing trophy. But you seem to be quite quick in that class.
Yeah, I took pole in the first race, but obviously there was a few complications. But no, that's fine. I still managed to get my way back up to P3, which was a good adventure going through having to make the overtakes.
So how are you finding the difference? Obviously, you've only done the 1 hour race. The next race at Donington is 2 30-minute sessions. Then we've got the hour at the Nürburgring, and then we've got the 2 hour mini endurance event around Spa. You know, what's the longest you've actually done on there? Are you looking forward to the longer races to see how it goes?
The longest I've done in the car is probably, I think it was 8 hours in total at the 24 hours of Spa. Also, of course, over the race, I've done 8 hours. With SRN, I've done 24 hours of Le Mans and 24 hours of Spa, which we actually led Spa for a while until we were in a bit of an incident. And then Le Mans, we got taken out at the night. We got hit by another car. But yeah.
So you got some experience then. You got some experience of longer stints in cars.
Yeah, I've got experience with stints. I understand how to make the tyres last and be able to be faster at the end of the stint.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the hour-long races, you don't really have to worry too much about the tyres. They do scrub off, but certainly the 2 hour one, with the setup we've got, which is only really around about 30 minutes, so you're probably looking at about 2 or 3 pit stops on there, or trying to extend the pit stops out and looking at it. So the strategy side of it in there, and I suppose being part of a team, it helps when it comes to sort of strategy, so you can all talk to each other and find out where you're at.
Yeah, it's very good being a part of the team. I would definitely recommend trying to be part of a team, because one of the people in the team do help me with setups and just learning the track.
Definitely. Well, Lewis, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, and give or name and shame somebody else?
Not just the SRM boys. I wouldn't be racing iRacing as much as I do without them. I definitely would have done the 24 hours of Spa with them without them. So
definitely. Well, obviously, like I said to Scotty, just hang around and we'll get you all in, as we haven't got any penalties to review, and we'll see how Tom is getting on. But just hang around and I'll get you all in. But very thanks for joining us, Lewis. It's always a pleasure to see the younger rookie drivers come in and just get a little bit of an insight of how they feel fighting against the big boys. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Brilliant. So we will see. We do have one of our sort of sponsors. So whenever you're setting up a league, it can be quite difficult and daunting to see how you're going to do the scoring side of it. But here at Performance Link, we are looking at doing or using the extreme scoring package. And I know Kevin personally. I've dealt with or had the pleasure of dealing with Kevin for 3 years whilst my time at another admin for another league. So let's see if we can get Kevin in. I'm not sure if he's got his webcam on. Kevin, can you hear me, mate?
I do. I have a copy. How are you, Andy?
I'm very well, mate. Very well. Well, thanks for joining us in our podcast. Pity we can't see you here, but we can certainly hear you. So one of the things I'd like to obviously look at, Kevin, is we currently use your scoring software, Extreme Scoring. Do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about what it can give, and obviously I can vouch for a lot of it anyway because I use it as well.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Andy, first I want to thank you for bringing us on the show today. And there's so much in the scoring that this would end up being a 10-hour program. So we'll keep it short and sweet today. But the big thing about the program all started with the fact that my business partner and I had been running a league for many, many years on iRacing, starting back in 2013. And although there has been other alternatives out there for scoring in a league capacity, one thing that we were looking at, certainly for the road drivers, was a little more flexibility and the ability to eliminate those pesky Google Sheets. As much as we all love using the Google Sheets, in this capacity, it can be quite daunting. We've had some clients come to us and say, "Can you get rid of my 46 Google Docs?" So that became an experiment for us early on in software development, because we had quite a few groups bringing some daunting tasks to our table set. So we had a bit on our plate in development, because obviously we wanted to please everyone, and that can't be done. So where do we find that middle road? Well, it ended up being that there was no middle road. There were so many different parameters out there that organizations utilize as far as scoring combinations, naming their different series, their heats, being able to customize things post race. And so we started to figure out that we had a lot of diversity out there, but yet there were some common denominators that we were able to build into the system. So really it became a labor of love for us developing this thing. And as you know, Andy, you've been involved in some of the development the last 3 years, and honestly, you've brought some tremendous suggestions to the table. So we do appreciate your input on that. So yeah, the program really came about from admins ourselves and being right in the thick of it. And as we all know, for those out there that have administrated leagues, the time involved behind the scenes can be quite enormous, and certainly post race, and if you're an admin that competes in your own series, the last thing you want to do is sit up till 1 a.m. Doing all the points and capturing everything.
This is true.
Yes, exactly. So our goal was to try to eliminate a lot of that post-race workload as well as pre-race. So we thought if we could design an element where you could set up your season prior to the season actually taking place, and then all you have to do is just upload that result page at the end, which takes mere seconds, boy, we'll be able to solve a lot of issues. And so after we're 3.5 years now into development with this thing, and so we've been out of beta now for about 1.5 years, and so things have been rolling along quite smoothly. But one thing that I can say about it is it was designed and built to try to please as many of the leagues out there. We've been able to do that so far. Knock on wood. We keep hoping that we don't run into a situation that comes about that we just can't resolve. But yeah, so far we've been able to meet all the demands. But it is a very all-inclusive program for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can vouch for that. I mean, like I said, 3 years ago, I think we had you showed us a very early stages of it, and since it's been on a long journey since then, and where it is now, it's extremely polished. For what is relatively cheap, and the amount of time. I mean, I was very skeptical myself. I love the good Excel sheet to be able to do the scoring. But when I started to use yours, it's not just the scoring as well. I mean, you've had a really big addition lately, which is the paints, because that was the two things that really take the time in the leagues are the scoring side of it and getting all the scoring and being able to upload it. And the second one is the paints, uploading the paints. Here at Performance Link, we actually use the Extreme Uploader as well. So, the drivers can log into your web page, can upload the paints. The admins of the series can then accept that paint, and then automatically it goes into them. And then it gives the drivers the option, if they've got multiple paints in there, to choose whichever paint they want as long as they've been approved. So I suppose it empowers the drivers back with whatever paint they want to use, but also from, like you say, from an admin point of view, it makes it so much easier to do the little nitty gritty parts of what is organising a league.
Absolutely. You brought up two really important, we'll call them pain points, if they were, if you will. When we started designing this, we wanted to hone in on some of those areas that are critical. You know, obviously the scoring being one, or first and foremost for us in the original design. But then there was the ability to have lots of flexibility within the program, where an admin can go in and rename heats. They can go in and assign different types of drop events to the team, the car, the driver. So there's a lot of flexibility in there that we wanted to present, because what you have as an admin when you're setting up a series, this guy has a great idea. What if we allowed incidents to award bonus points at a certain level? And so all those storylines come about. So now you have to go figure out how to track that on a Google sheet. Well, we took all of those properties and tried to incorporate those within the program. And one other big pain point was the paints. That one is, like you say, besides the scoring, it's probably the most daunting task that an admin has. And if he's fortunate enough to have a paints manager that oversees that, now you have that driver or manager trying to communicate with all of the drivers via his own personal email or whatever it may be. We wanted to get away from that, put the control of the liveries back into the driver's hands, so that now the driver can carry the responsibility of what paint they want to use. They can have up to 3 paints per season or more. If they choose, the admins can request to have that opened up to have a few more options available. But the driver now can submit a paint. As you stated, the admin can communicate via the scoring program with that driver. That driver gets notified that there may be a logo on the car that needs to be moved left or right to allow the contingency decals to be placed in the proper position. They can send that message right back to the driver within the program itself. Then the driver can re-upload. Once the paint is approved, they can go in and set it as their current paint. And each paint that they change each week, they just simply log into the program and go to My Data and click on paints, and they can just simply select which one they want to run for that particular event. So we really tried to simplify that process.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it is such a good add-on. And I will take a little bit of credit there. Kev was, I think that was my suggestion of how we should run it. So
one of many,
one of many, and I don't get anything for it. I mean, how good is that for free advertising and stuff like that? But Kev, obviously, we're seeing in the chat, obviously Patrick Thompson saying, extreme scoring program is sick. And that paints are working on the site is fantastic. I mean, I think you made what is an overall good program. It's taken a while to get you here, but now I think you certainly will reap the rewards. And for what the actual cost is, I mean, it's just such a bargain to be able to do that, to take all the effort out of doing the things. Where are you seeing the extreme going in the future? What have you got in the pipeline that you're hopefully bringing out? And just tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
Yeah, so now at this stage, it really comes down to adding a lot of the little bells and whistles. The major development of the program has been completed at this point. Now we just want to add more conveniences for not only the members, but also the administrators, ease of access, aggregate data. Is another big one that's probably going to be one of the largest attributes that we'll be adding here in the next year. Where it goes from here, I don't know that we really have a ceiling on it, to be honest with you. One of the things that iRacing has done that's going to bring a lot of benefit to not only our services, but a lot of the other services and third-party software that's out there is the API. What that does is that gives third-party software companies the ability to communicate directly with iRacing. An example would be within our scoring program right now. You'll notice that now all of the track logos, all of the car images that you see in there are directly a replica of what's on iRacing, and that being that way because our program, after every 13th week, automatically reaches out to iRacing and says, give us all the new data. So it just automatically pulls all that down. Now, okay, what benefit is that to you and everyone else? Well, as we develop this further, the idea will be to be able to eliminate you having to actually upload your results. When your event is complete, the results will be pulled down automatically, and therefore, again, giving instant results to the members without the admins having to lift a finger. And so that's just even more automation to make your job easier, Andy. That's what it's all about.
Well, you're going to make it too easy, and anybody's going to be able to make a league in the future and make it. You're going to put all us people who are trying to make leagues out of business because anybody could do it. It is great. Obviously, I do class you as a friend, Kev, and obviously we've dealt with each other for quite a few times. And
you bet.
Just thought I'd like to get you on here just to put the word out about Extreme because I can't rate it highly enough. And obviously, with what you were saying as well, people can go over to Extreme Scoring, put it into Google, and just have a look at it, guys. It is a fantastic product that you can do if you're doing your leagues to make it so much easier. Not only just a score inside, as Kev said there, but you've got the paints that can get uploaded and future-proof in it, And one thing I would like to say is that if you have any issues with it, all you have to do is reach out to the guys, tell them what's wrong, and they will sort it for you. If they can't, they will tell you when they can sort it for you. And we had a particular scoring issue on this season where we do the points by class rather than overall finishing positions, which is something that Kevin never had before on his software. Managed to get it done for me in a week, and now all the scoring software for the teams and the drivers is sorted, and makes it so much easier. So, Kev, thank you very much for coming on and joining us. Is there any final words you'd like to say to our viewers out there?
Well, first, we just want to thank everybody out there that has had the opportunity to take the time to go look at the program and see what it's all about. We do have a Discord link on there, so please visit us on Discord. We keep that up and have it on our mobile devices 24/7. So if you have any questions, we try to get back to you quickly on that. Be sure to visit us at extremescoring.info. That site is loaded with all the information about the program and how to purchase credits for the program for your series. So be sure to visit us there at extremescoring.info. And Andy, big thanks to you for all the input that you've given us over the last 3 years. Yeah, you bet. And we do appreciate all our customers out there that are using the program, and spread the word. We would love to have more of you out there. It's a program built by admins for admins, and we're passionate about racing, and we just want to continue to provide the best information for drivers' results out there as possible. So again, Andy, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Kev, and look forward to having been or doing business with you for many years to come, mate.
Well, we sure appreciate you, buddy. Take care of yourself. We'll talk soon. All right. Take care.
So there was Kevin there from Extreme. I mean, it is a fantastic product. I'd recommend you guys just go and have a look at it if you're thinking about setting up your own league. It certainly takes a lot of hassle out of the scoring program. You can do things on the fly, and Patrick, you seem to be very hot on the Extreme. But at this stage, we would normally look at the penalties and go through. But like I said, we haven't got around to look at. So what we're going to do is something a little bit different. I'm going to drag the other two drivers in. I'm going to put up Tom's session in the WSL, and we'll watch his first race. I believe he's just actually finished his qualifying, which didn't really go too well, but I'm pretty sure he's got a 25-minute race coming up. So we'll see how he gets on. Maybe do a little bit of raging in the tank, because Tom is probably good at that, certainly if it doesn't go his own way. But what we'll do is, let's see if we can get this right here. Let's bring the other guys in. Welcome back, guys. How are you? Thanks for staying around.
No problem at all.
Hello again.
So like we said, we would normally do the penalties at this stage, but what we're going to do is we'll have a look at Tom and Scott. You can obviously give us we'll give you guys a little bit of a taster of what it's like on the other side as the obviously commentators. And likewise, if you've got any questions for me that you want answering or anything like that, same with our viewers. You know, this is an opportunity that I always like to get to know the drivers, but probably don't really know a lot about me. So it's a good opportunity for you and these two wonderful drivers we've got in to look at. But let's see if I can get Tom's stream up here. Here we go. So let's make this a full screen. So here he is. I think he's just about to get into his new session here, guys. Here he is. Is the man himself. Mr. Tommy, I don't know if we can get a little bit of sound here. See what he's getting up. Not too sound that he drowns us out, but there he is, our Tommy. I mean, this is a stage of the race that obviously just before you're just about to go into the rounds. How are you feeling there? Or what are the feelings that are going through Tom at the moment before he's going to grid up for the race?
It looks like Tom has the same start sequence as me. You run to the toilet.
He certainly does.
Yeah, it does get nervy. Obviously, after quali gridding up, especially if you've had not the quali you wanted, you know, you're in a position which you weren't going into that race expecting. So that's something you need to get over mentally as well. In real life and in sim racing.
Definitely. So what about yourself, Lewis? How do you feel at this stage just before you're going to get into a race? Are you nervous? Have you got a routine or something like that?
Yeah, no, it's a very nervous part. It's just want to make sure you pass lap one, and even just being on the grid, waiting to go, the nerves start to build, just sitting on the grid. I don't really have any pre-race rituals aside from going to the toilet.
Well, you're probably young in your career now. You can probably hold it a little bit longer than us old people that need to go to the toilet more often. And Tom there just getting ready to grid up for the race. I think it's a 25-minute. He's got a 25-minute and a 50-minute race ahead coming up in the WSL League. So it's good around the Red Bull Ring tonight. So we haven't actually, we have got that round, haven't we? Yes. There we go. But they do it a little bit differently on these guys. They actually have the split sessions because there's two different races in there. What do you feel about that? Obviously, looking at a new season or stuff like that. What sort of races do you guys prefer to have in a race? Do you like having two fixed ones, or do you like a variety of races?
I would prefer the fixed setup that we're running on the cars themselves. On the setup of how they're doing quality and split sessions, it seems like there was only one car out on track at a time, which that's similar to iRacing officials. But you know, it gives you a bit more of a buzz when all the cars are out on track. You know, you've got a bit more to think about. You know, you want to leave that gap if someone makes a mistake. You know, it's more like real life if you've got the people out on track. So I prefer, having the people out there.
You're talking about the fixed setup there. I mean, I quite like the idea of the fixed setup. Not everyone really likes the idea of the fixed setup. What I think it does is it makes it an even playing field, and then it's very much down to the drivers. Because I don't know if you know, obviously I asked Lewis about the setups, Scott. Looking at the setup side of it, I mean, are you sort of setup golden guru, or are you very much go to one of the setup pages and just get one off there?
Yeah, normally with this is you go to one of the setup providers and you get set up and tweak it to your liking. There's not too much I know about how to set up cars on simulator. I can do it in real life, but that doesn't really translate correctly over on the simulator at the minute. But yeah, the fixed setup, as you say, it levels the playing field. The other drivers are in the same position, so it does make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. And let's Patrick here wants to come and join us, so let's see if we can get Patrick in here. And give him an opportunity to say, because he's got a lot to say in the YouTube channel. Anyway.
It's filled out the chat. Come on, Patrick, where are you at?
He has, hasn't he? Look at it. There's a whole Patrick Thompson and Dave. The two people that should be here are the ones in the commentating or basically in the chat, just chatting away. So let's see what we can actually do here. Let's see if we can get them in. Should be able to. Let's see if we can get him in. Let's see if he comes in. So you can probably hear. I don't know. Can you hear the background in Tom's thing or not? You can't. No. He's very much got Thomas Cope, who is the top pro in this one at the moment. I think he's poaching all the setups because that WSL is not a fixed setup. It's obviously a thingy, and I think Thomas has given him his setup guys with a little tweak. Thomas is a bit of a guru, I believe, on the setup side. So you can sort of see him there. You can. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Oh, here's Patrick. Patrick, can you hear us, mate?
Yes, and do I come through to you?
You do indeed. Obviously, you haven't got the webcam, but we can sort of live without that. So how are you, mate, anyway?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Just enjoying the stream and listening to the good advices and all of the fun talks you've been doing. It's nice to spend your evening with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, you're one of our Pro-Am drivers and doing exceptionally well in that class. I mean, and Silverstone was just like a dream finish for you. Finished in 4th overall in their first in class. I mean, how was Silverstone to you? And you seem to be one of the hot contenders for that Pro-Am field. Is it just we've just had your best rounds, or are you feeling that you've got a really good opportunity here?
Yeah, I don't like Silverstone was quite nice. I did some practice on it compared to what I managed to pull out on the previous round. Didn't get much track time before we went to Sebring, but I did actually get some laps in on Silverstone, and that's probably why I felt a bit more comfortable and managed to keep a good pace this time instead of just being somewhere in the middle of the pack.
So, I mean, obviously, we've got Lewis and Scott with us here tonight as well. Guys, have you got any questions that you want to ask Patrick overall? You got anything you want to ask?
Yeah, Patrick, how long have you done iRacing? Because you seem like you've got the pace and you seem quite consistent. So, yeah, what's your background?
So basically, I was on vacation in the beginning of the year, and I went to a store, and I saw that they had like the Logitech G10-9, and I was like, yeah, I would like to start doing some racing on my computer, and that's when I found out that iRacing was the thing, and I was like, this looks like a good idea, and I got into iRacing, and yeah, so I started racing on iRacing about 5 months ago, 6 months now, probably. And that's basically it.
So you're still driving with your G29 then, are you?
Oh yeah, clamped to my desktop on a chair that rolls away from me.
I mean, it's obviously. I mean, we talk about obviously the equipment between the four of us and all different. I mean, I've got a CSL Elite with the F1 and paddled shifter. You can see obviously my chair right there with a 52-inch G9 Odyssey screen. You know, we talk about the different equipment that we've got, but I mean, it's all about, I suppose, it's a bit more that the equipment will only do so much for you, and it's very much down to your own driver skills after that, isn't it?
I mean, without a doubt, of course, the equipment can help you. I would say you can probably become a more consistent driver if you have better equipment, because it's easier to get a good feeling for what the car is doing if you have the right equipment. But in all honesty, you can be fast no matter what equipment you have, as long as you have. And it might sound bad, but with the right talent, you can be fast on anything.
Are you sure that? I mean, Scott, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. you need the talent there to be quick in the first place. And yeah, what Patrick said about being consistent on the high grade, that's bang on. That's exactly what I'm hearing. The more you upgrade, is basically you can be a little bit more consistent. The lower grade wheels might not be the same lap for lap, but yeah, if you're used to it and you're quick with it, why change it?
And yourself, Lewis? Obviously, you're very much starting out, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't really. Of course, the equipment will matter in the long run, like over consistency, but just off a raw pace, you don't need the fancy wheels. Like as Patrick has, he's got a Logitech, which obviously isn't the most standout brand. You just be quick with anything you've got.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. I think the only difference is, and one thing I did find that was having that stable platform. Obviously, Pat, you said that you've got a G20 mine clamped to a desk with a moving chair. Now, obviously, muscle memory when you're coming down to the accelerator and the brake and stuff like that, having that fixed setup, as you can see Scotty there in his rig there, having that fixed setup is probably good for your muscle memory of realizing how much acceleration, how much brake you want when it comes to trail braking, having that little bit of stable platform. So you get used to it. I suppose, Patrick, having the setup you've got, it's every single session is slightly different. Not being able to have that fixed setup where you realize.
Yeah, like Scott said that he was quite impressed with my consistency, and to be honest, I feel myself that like I am the most inconsistent guy on the field. Like sometimes I can go do a 157, the next lap I do a 159, and then I do a 158, and it just goes like that all the race. That's at least how I feel myself, and it like you say, with a non-stable setup, you won't really have the same muscle memory, because I just move around all over the place.
I can imagine on a chair with wheels. I mean, what you have to do is get yourself a webcam, put it on, and we've got to get you on driver chat. Just seeing you just go like this on the wheels, going
around. Maybe for some of the later rounds, I'll get it set up just so you can have some enjoyment.
Oh, I mean, that'd be brilliant. I mean, we can get you like that, and then we can have Lydia, our only female, who can do us a little bit of a tune on the accordion as well. So we've got lots to look forward to on this channel. It's going to be amazing. But obviously, the only one we're missing now is Dave, who's the only other one in the chat as well. So. At least he's filling out chat, guys, anyway. But just looking at Tom at the moment, he's just logging into his session. So when he starts gridding up for that, we'll have a Scott there. We can actually see it on Scott's screen just there in the bottom right. We can watch it from there. But obviously, Patrick, I've asked a question to the other guys about the rounds they're most looking forward to. Which ones are you looking forward to, mate?
I would probably say the Nordschleife is, or the combined Nürburgring is one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most. It's a very technical track, and it requires an immense amount of focus to survive an entire hour race on a track like that. Without there's a few exceptions, but basically the most of the track you're turning all the time, braking, accelerating. Like there's no brakes on this track, never. You just gotta keep focused the entire time.
Yeah, the curbs are killers around Nürburgring, though. If you take one of them corners wrong, you're gonna be spinning off. And the problem with that track is if you're not very experienced on it, and you do hit one of them curbs quite hard, and this obviously goes to the rest of the guys who can answer on this, it's a race-ending track very early on. And if you tow back to the pits in the Nürburgring, it's a long old wait till you get back in the car.
Yeah, I mean,
you can finish a beer in that time.
You can go to the toilet, have your tea, and then come back, and you're still just about not coming back, isn't it?
Yeah. I reckon it takes solid 10 minutes of towing time if you crash in the beginning of the run. So yeah, like you probably just wanna maybe be a bit more careful in the beginning and not take as many risks, and hope that the people you might be fighting do a silly mistake or whatever, and you just kind of just move your way through the field like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the calendar here, and I think I'm pretty much looking forward to the Fuji one. I don't know what your guys have experienced on that, but I commentated on a round on another league around Fuji, and it was just such an amazing track. And I mean, it was hot action in these GT3 cars, so I'm expecting it to be the same with a grid of 55 cars as well. It's going to be tight. Same with pretty much like Donington. It's a very similar track to that, being it's quite narrow and passing opportunities are few and far between. The only difference is there you've got probably the world's longest start-finish straight going around Fuji. But I mean, I think I'm looking forward to that one. I mean, what's your guys' take on Fuji?
I've never raced it, so not an opinion on it. Yeah,
You've never driven it, Lewis? No.
never.
Yeah, it's the same as me. I haven't turned a lap yet.
Have you not?
Well,
Wow. Patrick, have you?
As the only one here who's seemed to have done a few laps around Fuji, I did a race in another league, and yeah, I gotta be honest. Like Fuji it's a nice track in Sector 3 where you have all the technical chicanes and turns, but for me the rest of it is kind of boring because it's just one long straight and a hairpin, and then it goes straight again. So.
I suppose the difference with this league though, Patrick, is I don't know if your other league was a fixed setup. This is a fixed setup, so you haven't really got that advantage, and it's going to be interesting to see because I haven't really seen massive amounts of slipstreaming effect. I mean, we look at Silverstone, which is another track notorious for slipstreams, and we didn't really see that, to be honest. It was. Yeah, you saw it if you were going down the hangers straight and you were right behind the car coming out of Magnus and Beckett's. But if you were a bit of a distance back, you didn't have that really strong thingy. So I think it won't be as strong as maybe we were thinking down there. But it does make it interesting coming down into turn one. I mean, I'm trying to think for the other guys a track that relates to. It's almost like Imola, where you're coming down that straight and then going into turn one that's quite tight. It's one of them corners that gives the opportunity for drivers to make that little bit of a yeet up the inside. But if you get it wrong, it's another disastrous corner. And probably, Pat, you'll be able to say a little bit more about that.
I mean, I'm not the kind of guy to make the most insane yeets, as I'd like to survive the entire race. But yeah, turn one on Fuji is definitely going to be an interesting one, especially if you have someone trying to go side by side with you. It's a tough corner to get right, even on your own. And if you have someone right next to you, that's going to make it a whole lot more interesting.
Okay, and look at that, Mr. Miyagi there on Tom's screen. Lewis, your mentor there, like, is on Tom's screen.
Yeah.
In fact, is that you, Lewis? That looks very similar to you. So, obviously, tell us a little bit about like karate, the karate side of it. I mean, how did you get into it? Have you done it from a young age? And I'm assuming you're a black belt.
Yeah, I got my black belt in 2019, just before COVID, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I've competed down in England and in Scotland. I've not left the country to do it yet. I was hoping to do that this year, but obviously I've had injuries throughout this year, so I missed the European Championships. But it's because COVID years, we're doing another one next year, so I'm hoping to go to that. I think that one's in Italy, so it'll be a nice wee trip, and it's around the same time as Monza, so maybe go see this F1 at the same time.
All right. What about you, Scott? I mean, obviously, we know your accolades on the track, and you've done, like you said, you've done a little bit of the formula. But what else are you into, mate? Apart from the iRacing side of it, man?
I've got a few toys that I take out on the road. So I've got a MK Indy with a Fireblade motorbike engine in it. So that's a straight shifting box. So I do like to take that out around the lanes here and give it a blast from time to time. So I do enjoy doing that. Yeah.
Well, I did see that. That just looked like an absolute beast. I'll have to get your address and come around and you can take me out in it or let me have a go in it. That certainly seems like good fun. What about yourself, Patrick, over there in Norway? That's that part of the world. What do you do the old off-roading?
We don't really have much of that here. Like, there's some people do it on the beaches, but that's basically all there is here, because we don't really have these like massive rock climbing places. Like there's no, I think the biggest change we have here in my country is like an elevation change of 300 meters, and this is like from the lowest point in the country to the highest. It's not even on the same place. It's just like in the entire country.
Yeah. So what do you like to be able to do then? What hobbies? What do you do apart from iRating, or are you solely committed to iRating?
I mean, for now, I'm solely committed to iRacing. I mean, I enjoy spending my time doing the sim racing stuff, and yeah, I feel like I want to, like, I haven't gotten bored of it yet, so I don't really want to focus on too much other stuff except for trying to get better right now.
Yeah. Right, so we're just about to watch Tom start race. So a challenge to any one of you three guys. I want you to commentate for one lap around here. So Scott, go on in. Let's take it away, mate. Let's see your best commentating voice here.
Well, here we are coming up on the start. So Tom's got away quite nicely there. He's gone defensive into turn one. Really tricky turn one there. Nice big curve on the inside. Let's see how he gets on up the straight here. It lost the pack a little bit there, a little bit of a gap. It's hard to see whether they're too wide. It doesn't look like so on the relative. It's gone slightly defensive into turn two. There seems to be quite a good side-by-side action up ahead. Hopefully that'll work into Tom's favor there. Lost one position. That'll be the reason why he went defensive into turn two. Let's see if he can get onto the back of Let's and maybe get him on the home straight. Real tight section through the back, really patient through turn three there. So you gotta be nice and patient on the power. This is a really tricky bit through here. So the back end of the car really likes to step out. So it's on cold tires. That's quite a challenge to see how Tom gets on through here. Let's hopefully not give him a commentator's curse.
So Lewis, I want you to take over when he goes over the next one. Have a go, mate. See how you get on. See what it's like on the other side. Yeah, have a go when he passes the finish line. Have a go, mate.
Here we go. Wait till he comes up to the start finish. And here we go as he starts the lap 2 of this race. He's going up to turn 1, hopefully getting a little bit of time in the car and run as he did lose positions at the start. He goes taking the curb quite nicely, getting on the exit curb really well there. That's a good turn 1. I don't think he's gained too much time, but he hasn't lost much time either. Can't really see the relative well. He's got a bit of a gap from behind. I think he's safe into turn 2. Yeah, he's actually got really close to that car. But maybe go try to take advantage of them fighting, going side by side, and he could maybe give him a bit of a slipstream down here, maybe send up the inside of turn 3, something from 4. Depends if you want to count that little kink. Turn as he's not going to send it, which is probably the safest option to do, but he does have the inside line. He can get side by side with the other course there. I think that was. He's going to be going on the outside of turn 4. I can't remember the turns, but he hasn't been able to get around the outside. I think it was a bit of an incident. There was a bit of smoke. Then that might just be my screen. He's done pretty well to catch back up to the back and obviously get side by side there a little. Yeah, he's not gained much or lost any much time. Pretty decent lap. There's a bit of an incident. There's 2 cars. I think they just spin out. I don't think there was any collision. But that gains him up 2 positions. That obviously brings him back to where he started the race.
Do you want to have a go, Patrick?
We can have a go, and here we go, flying into lap 3. We just saw 2 fantastic freebies happening right in front of our eyes. Tom is on his way on the lap 3, pushing it through the Nicolada curve, going very fast on the straight here, trying to keep up with the pack ahead of him. We see they have made a slight gap, but Tom is definitely pulling out some good pace, so he'll surely catch up right here in a moment. Gets a good apex here and gets hard on the gas. And you can see maybe the gap has come down a little bit. And actually, he's also pulled quite a good gap to the people behind. So he's like in his own little world right now. I mean,
It's
this
hard,
is
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard, isn't it? You know,
it is. It's hard, but look at this. It's just you can't even describe it. It's brilliant driving. He's just like slowly reeling these guys in front of him back in, and yeah, I mean, when you have two people spinning like we saw last lap right in front of you, you can get quite scared and maybe let off the gas a little bit, and it's very easy to lose the people in front of you. But he's doing a very great job here, keeping up to them and not really losing them too much. Yep, coming up to the end of the lap here, very easy to go too far out here and get slowdowns or off tracks on these two final turns, but he managed to navigate it very, very good, and on to the next one he goes.
Well done, guys. You know, it always looks easier than it does. It's like driving. You know, you watch the pro drivers like yourself, Scott. I cast you as one of them, as one of the others, as you call them, or the aliens. And you watch Thomas come and you think, yeah, it looks easy. You get in the car and you're like, how am I 10 seconds off their pace? I mean, I just don't get it. You just make it look so effortlessly easy when you're driving around. It's like the commentating as well. You know, sometimes it looks easy to be able to do it, but it's trying to. I absolutely love the endurance races. So I think I've done. We did a 24-hour Spa commentating on there, and I love that because I love just talking rubbish. I think that's probably my forte when we get to endurance races. But I mean, Red Bull, we're featuring this in round number 10 in our series. We've got 2 30-minute sessions around here. So yeah, it's pretty much sent us on the inside with Let's there. So having a good battle with that Porsche behind. But I mean, we can see around here, and Tom's giving us a really good illustration from the first point, or the view that you guys will be getting when you're going around this track. I just find it's really easy to get them off tracks and incident points. And in the championship, we've only got 20 incident points before you get the pesky drive through. In fact, it's even less than that because it's only the 2 30 minutes. So I believe it's only 15. Very easy. I mean, turn number 1 that we're watching Tom now, I mean, certainly in the position he's in side by side, trying to take it a little bit too deep into this inside corner. Normally has an incident with the car on the outside, get pushed out. And if you go outside that, the sausage curve there on the left, that's where you get that incident point. Same again with coming down to this one. Turn number 3 is another, I think, a viable point. And then the last double left-hander before the start finish. How are you guys feeling about that? Do you save up the incident points when there? Do you try and tactically use them during the race? Or are you maybe trying for the 0x to begin with, and if it doesn't work, and then go back to stage 2? How do you manage the incident point levels that you do have in the championship?
Yeah, I always go for the 0x start off with, but that doesn't last too long. But yeah, I do save them up, and if it gets towards the end of the race and I need to try and push, I will use the off tracks. Obviously, you can gain a little bit here and there. So yeah, you do try and save them and use them tactically.
Yeah, like oh yeah, go ahead, Lewis.
Yeah, obviously you don't want any, but of course if you have them and it's coming like down to the last lap and they're getting really close, you maybe push the track limits a wee bit. You obviously gain maybe a few hundreds, maybe 0 out of 10 if you're lucky, get that off track, the slowdown. But yeah, try and get 0x, and then it just gives you that wiggle room if you start making mistakes.
Over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, like I think one of the tracks like Silverstone we were on last round was actually a very, very good show for exactly the off track and how easy they are to get. I believe there was quite a few drivers actually managing to pull off a drive through because they ended up getting the pushing the limits of how many you were allowed to get. So basically, like Scott said, the strategy usually is always to go for the 0x because you want as clean a race as possible. But yeah, if you have saved them up for the end and you can see that it's getting tight and you could maybe gain a position for maybe using a bit of your excess, I'm not going to be the one to shy away from getting 1 or 2 of them.
I mean, that's probably, a bit controversial, but I mean, I'm one of these people that if you've got a set of rules and you can play within them set of rules, then why not use it to your advantage? I mean, that's what they're there for, to give you the guidelines to stay within. Now, if you're like you said, you've got that opportunity to take that extra position, but get that 1x. I mean, it is a heated debate often that we can have on that, whether it's fair to do that, but to be fair, you're still within the rules, and as long as you haven't got the slowdown from iRacing, the big incidents, then I suppose it's all fair game when you look at it from that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't try to use an off track to gain a position. I'll do it to close a gap for sure, but I wouldn't try and use it to gain a position from it.
Yeah, like Scott said, it's not like you would use the X to like go around the side of someone using like some part of the track you don't normally race on to overtake them, but like surely you can use it to make the gap come down a little bit. But when it comes to the overtake, you're staying on track and keeping it clean, because racing off track is just a big no-no. And I honestly, if I saw someone coming on my outside pushing it way beyond the track limits, I would not feel nice. I would have a bad day there.
I suppose that's the difference between league racing and obviously the official series, because I'm pretty sure you would see that 100% in the official series. But the league racing, you almost have like a code of conduct between the drivers, even if there is a set of rules. In that you try and make it as realistic as possible, and not make it so it's stupid that you're doing something out of that way. And I suppose that's the big difference. And obviously from yourself, Lewis, is obviously trying to learn and gain that experience. It can sort of rub off on the younger players that the standards that the classes above them are playing. Any thoughts on that, guys? Lewis, how about you? I mean, how do you feel the differences? Do you feel, obviously in the league racing, you get that extra bit of room, and it's a lot more cleaner, and you can learn your craft a lot more. And, do you find yourself following or trying to follow the faster drivers to see the lines that they are taking out on track to try and mimic their fast times? And does it pull you along when you're racing?
Yeah, if you've got someone that's fast in front of you, do try follow the lines, try get to the same point in their braking. Like if you're braking like 5 meters earlier, you're obviously going to try push that to where they're braking. You are going to want to try copy whoever's fastest. But seeing the top guys playing like battling quite cleanly, he kind of rubs off saying, "Oh well, this is how that happens." It's like not really many incidents. When I was watching the podcast last time, I think there was only like 6 incidents. Well, when I was league racing on F1, there could be up to 10 incidents a race, and that would just be in the first couple of corners.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, do you obviously are fully aware to both yourself, Scott, and to yourself, Patrick? Obviously, being one of the faster drivers on there, do you actually take in consideration the lower classes around you to try and bring them up to a better standard of driving whilst you're in a league, or are you very much concentrating on your own battles and trying to win what you can, I suppose?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I would always, if anyone needs help, they can always reach out, and I'll always help them. Yeah, I'll try and my best to try and pass on as much as I can, even if it's on track without talking. You do have a good driver's contact between driver to driver. At Silverstone, coming back through the pack, obviously coming through the AMs and the Pro-Ams, there was a few drivers who were purposefully would back off, and then try and hook on because they knew that they could maybe follow me. I noticed that on a fair few drivers, or if they maybe thought then I could pull them up to the pack up ahead, which did work in some cases. There were some cases where I did back out and just hold back because I did see they were having like a 4-wide fight, so I thought I'd let that play out first. But yeah, you do try and help each class as you go along, and it's been pretty amicable throughout. Everyone seems to be getting on really well. So
yeah, I would agree. Like also when it comes to the league racing, everyone has taken time out of their evenings to come together to make these races happen. Like it's not like the official races where you can just enter the race, and if all goes tits up, you can just enter the next one. Like here, it's one shot, and if you mess it up, you're stuck with the result for the rest of the season. So like, you don't wanna enter these races with the mentality that like, oh, I'm just gonna do whatever it takes to win. You kind of want to be like, I want to win, but I need to accept that there might be other people that are just faster, and I'll just do the best that I can do myself instead of just going full insane and sending it and everything, because that's what ends up with these stupid incidents that takes out half a field, which is very unnecessary. And I really feel like the field in our league has very big respect for each other, and like everyone is good to like pull out of the way if they can see there's a faster guy behind, and like the people are like facilitating clean racing all over. So it's fantastic being in the league.
Yeah, I mean, how are you guys feeling about? Obviously, this normally would be where the point where me and Dave get on our thrones and, as you would say, look at the penalties. But how do you find that? Obviously, being able to watch what the process that we do when we're trying to deal with penalties and look at it. How do you feel that that's a lot better, and you can actually, I suppose, agree because you can see what we're sort of saying. Because one thing I have noticed is that there seems to be a lot less, apart from maybe last week, a lot less arguing in the driver chats from it. So, I mean, what's your view on the incidents? Do you like it? What could be done better? You know, we'll always do that.
Yeah, I'm a part of a few different leagues, and there's actually one league that I race in. They have this system where like every single forex contact is automatically registered by a program and gets saved after the race, and they then put it in an Excel sheet. And then the Friday they race on Wednesdays, and then on the Friday they will meet up, and this is drivers and the league hosts and everyone is allowed to participate. And every single person, except for the ones in the incident or just around the incidents, are allowed to give their opinion, and they will decide what penalty or action should be taken by a unanimous vote of the people who are not in the incident. So I think that is a very cool way of doing it. But just the way that you let us have insight in what is happening is great, instead of it being some behind the scenes kind of show where you might feel something is not always like it should be.
Yourself, Scott? Have you got any views on it?
Yeah, I love watching it back. I've actually even learned some more about sim racing craft, because it's not really like real life racecraft. When you're doing overtakes, it's all different on the sim. So yeah, watching the instance back and hearing your guys the reason why and what they could do better, it's yeah, I think it's spot on.
And from yourself, Lewis, obviously I know we haven't done any incidents on you. I don't know if you've watched any of the podcasts back to have a look. If not, then it's probably good for certainly the rookie, because what we try to do is look at it and explain what people have done to be able to do better. Have you looked back at any of them?
Yeah, I think I was involved in one at Silverstone. I think it was just a bit of netcode. I watched the podcast to see what the outcome was. It was just netcode. I was fighting for the lead in rookie, but going into, I think it was Magnus and Beckett.
Magnus and Beckett, it was it.
Yeah, it was just a wee bit of netcode, but I like to see it live, like the communication between stewards. You can see it, and you can kind of understand why you got a penalty if you did get one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's obviously going through the penalties. Penalties is probably the worst part of running any sort of league, because whatever decision you make, you're probably not going to make everybody happy in the situation. But I think the only thing that we're trying to do here is be open, honest, and say, as we're not FIA stewards that we're going to look at the rule book. We've got our own set of rules, and we try to do that. And one thing we are trying to do as well is educate the likes of, say, people like Lewis in the rookie class who's trying to learn. to understand, that it's not always about making that killer move going into corners or anything like that. It's, if you watch some of the pro drivers and how they do it, they actually calculate their time that they're going to do it at the best opportunity, that they're not going to lose time, or both drivers are not going to lose time, like getting them onto the entry into a corner or trying to get them down an extremely long straight and change over. I think Watkins Glen, we saw that perfectly between the top pros at the front of the field, was literally just changing position lap after lap, but not losing any time. And that's something that is very good for like the lower classes, even the pro-ams, the AMs, and certainly the rookies who are trying to lead that, to be able to do it. So hopefully we're giving some tuition as well as doing the worst part of owning the league. So just looking at Tom there, where is he? He's up to 32nd. I'm not sure where he is in class. I don't think he's that far off. I know out in Spa, he actually won the second race, the 50-minute race. Did do the best in the first round. He came out fourth or fifth. But it seems to be doing all right actually here tonight. And you guys have got 30-minute races to look forward to around here.
Yeah, gonna be exciting.
Tricky in these cars, though. Tricky.
Yeah, like Scott said, we're coming up to a turn here in a few seconds time where the rear really wants to step out, especially in a car like the Porsche, which is very, very tail happy on corners where you're braking while turning. In this left-hander, it's going to be very interesting seeing how many people will end up in the gravel on the right side and how many will take the corner, because it's a really tricky one. It's also on the exit of it, it's a tiny bit off camber, so it's a really easy corner to get very wrong.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, that's probably if we're going to look at this lap, this corner coming up at the moment is quite a good one. But you've really got to watch your speed here, because if you go too far out to the left, that's the perfect line there that Tom's taking. It's the fastest. You'll get that 1x. And I think in that corner there, you actually get a slowdown, and you really don't want to slow down around this part of the track, because you've got a fast bend up here into turn number 1. This again, I feel that this track is all about holding your nerve and not going onto the corner. The one that you said there, Patrick, I think it's turn number 6 coming down. So you've got turn number 3 at the end here. 4's the one down the end with the off-cambered corner. You have got the opportunity to go side by side. But then you got that little kink to 5, and then 6, the one you were saying about the off camber. If I'm going to say anything to our drivers, is do not go 2x2 wide into that corner, because it always ends up with one of the cars getting spin or both of the cars getting spin. You'll see it coming down here now, and it's really about holding your nerve. So this corner here is quite a good one to make a good passing opportunity if you can get that inside line. You got this right-hander here coming around the corner, and this corner here is really treacherous. It's really deceiving, like you said, Patrick. Off-cambered, and literally there's one line through here, that inside line. If you don't, you'll hit that kissy litter on the right-hand side, and it'll spin you off. So if I am probably going to offer any word of advice to anybody who's looking at doing this track or well, guys, is that don't go 2x2 wide into turn number 6. It always ends terribly, and pretty sure you guys probably agree with me there as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's going back on racecraft. It's where like rounds around here. If you're too wide through there, like, is it necessary? If you have got someone who wants to make the move, could you get them on the exit to, like, you're not side by side like the apex? You could try and do the cutback. It's all stuff like that really makes a good drive. And going back on what you said about the pros and the Watkins, fighting but not losing time. That's what you gotta like understand in racing, is when to make a move, when to defend it, when to let it pass, and then just go at it again, try and get them back.
You got any views on that, Patrick or Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's gotta be no secret that in racing, and especially in iRacing, you really want to be careful with how much you push your tires, because eventually they get very warm, and if you are pushing too hard, fighting and doing silly stuff, eventually you will end up with very warm tires, and they don't really have a lot of grip, and you'll just lose a lot of time and may end up in a very, very bad position, parked in a wall somewhere because you've been pushing it a little too hard. So yeah, actually, like Scott said, sometimes it's better to just accept that the guy behind you is driving a little faster, latch onto him, let your tires cool down, and then go for a move and hopefully pull away from him once you're ready to overtake.
Yeah, definitely is. And one of the things I would say is consistency. Consistency wins. I mean, these trophies you see just here, the blue one was for the very first GT trophy in the ARL that I was a part of. I wasn't the fastest guy on track, but I was constantly getting 4th or 5th place. And now, when you're getting into the AMs and the lower ends, obviously a long time ago, Scott, that you probably can remember this, or Patrick, maybe a little bit longer for you. But when you're down in sort of the fighting of the AMs, and certainly it'd be the same in this championship, the AMs and the rookies, is that consistency is the key. If you can finish every single race in a reasonable position, you'll be at the top end of the field fighting for the position, because, as we were saying there, the racecraft comes into it. But when you're fighting in the lower sort of leagues within a league, or the lower classes within a league, you have that red mist effect that I'm going to make that move. I'm going to go into that move. 9 times out of 10, it ends up badly, because the decision making that we're talking about there, racecraft, goes out the window, and you don't actually gain a position, and you crash yourself out of the race. And it's almost like the tortoise in the hare, really, for the lower ones. I like to put it down to is that consistency is the big thing down there. You can be fast, but if you're not finishing the races, it doesn't matter how fast you are. And there's a classic example of the slowdown effect there.
Oh no!
For Tom, he just hankered on the other.
No,
that is what you don't want to be doing in the Red Bull Ring.
Oh, he didn't give the time up quick enough.
Oh, he didn't. No, he didn't let it run out before he crossed the finish line. Oh
Yeah.
no!
Look at him, handed head there. Like,
And I even think he was on for P2 in class. Oh no, that's not good. No, but
It's unlucky.
but on another note, like you were saying, and this is like I'm not trying to offend anyone, but not the pro-ams, not the pros. No one are like getting away from the fact that consistency is key. Silverstone was a very, very good example of this. I'm a pro-am driver. Fair enough, I'm maybe quite quick, but I should not end up on P4 overall. There was quite a few of the pro drivers that ended up somewhere off the track in the few early laps because they decided to send it here and there. And yeah, that's just calm down a little bit and let the race unfold.
Yeah, the pros are the worst at it, I think, Scott. you either all have an excellent race, or you all end up by the end of the race just in between all the other classes all the way down the field. I mean, we saw that.
One or the other.
It's entertaining, though. I'll give you that.
Give you something to talk about.
And it makes for really great racing as well. It makes for great racing having, and this is what I like compared to some other leagues. They do it where they have like a server where the pros are and the server where the slower people are. And I actually like it that you have everyone on the track at the same time, because in real life, I mean, probably not as big of a difference as we have in the leagues here, but in real life, there's also people that are slower, and you will have to navigate traffic, and there's like no easy way of just driving an entire race.
That's where qualifying comes into it a bit more, isn't it? I suppose you get a decent qualifying, it keeps you away from the carnage that could possibly ensue. Certainly, like a track round Donington, or even around here around Red Bull Ring, is that getting that good position is vital. But guys, we're not going to watch his 52-minute race. You can, if you want to go and support Tom. He is live at the moment, as you can see. You can see his screen there going in. But all I like to say is thank you to Lewis, thank you to Scott, and obviously thank you for Patrick for joining us for this podcast, and thank you for Kevin coming along from Extreme to tell us a little bit about it. But before we let you go, guys, anybody like to give a last shout out to anyone before we end the stream?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to you guys behind the Performance Link league here. You are doing a fantastic job, and keep your job up, and let us drivers give you some good entertainment for the rest of the season. And I'm damn sure I'm not the only one that is already waiting for season 2, even though we're not even done with season 1.
We have 3 rounds. We've got plenty left action to go yet. But no, I appreciate that. Scott?
Yeah, well, the same as Patrick. Thank you to you guys and setting the league up. Yeah, it's been really good. It's going to be good. It's going to gather momentum. And yeah, I'm also excited for season 2 and any other maybe endurance races that might come out of it. And yeah, also thank you to Performance Link team, and thank you to my spotter Haley as well.
Yeah, is that the Haley that's in the chat at the moment? Is it, Scott?
That is,
that
yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Yes. You know, the unsung heroes of iRacing, the spotters. So a big shout out to Haley for providing Scott his win. So if he gets his pole position, Haley, I'll give you a shout out on stream to say it's obviously down to you. So, what about yourself, Lewis? Final word, mate.
Yeah, just thanks for keeping the league running. It's a very good league, to be fair. So just thanks for keeping it running, stepping up.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us, and thank you to our viewers on YouTube. If you do like, then just give us that thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel, and we'll be back again same time next week with probably another round like this. We may watch Tom again, see if we can get a few more drivers in, have a bit of a chin wag before we start up in the first round in Donington, which is in 3 weeks' time. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be an entertaining one. But from all of us here, from myself, Lewis, Scott, Patrick, obviously Kevin and Tom that can't even hear us as fighting quite hard in his WSL, I'll say good night.